Daf Yomi Tractate Chullin, page 20b, top of the page, the words Amar Le. Amar Le, Adirabe, Ibcha Mistavra, Lamanda Mayeshchit, Eloi Pinatoire. Iklame Madhachi Agmere, Niko, Filu Madama Bekabehema, Linyanikala Lehevikabehema. Ravashi said to him, on the contrary, the opposite is reasonable, according to the one who says there is a source for the slaughter of a bird in the Torah. The halachot of slaughter are not explicit and were transmitted to Moses orally, the oral law. And it can be said that this is what God taught him, that there is no disqualification for ripping simanim, and even according to the one who says that the halachic status of a bird is like that of an animal, as the halachot of the slaughter of a bird are derived from the halachot of the slaughter of an animal. Perhaps God taught Moses that with regard to the matter of ripping simanim, it will not be like an animal. But according to the one who says there is no source for the slaughter of a bird in the Torah, but rather it is by rabbinic law, from where are the halachot of the slaughter of a bird learned? They are learned from the halachot of the slaughter of an animal. Consequently, the entire matter of the slaughter of a bird is like that of an animal. Amar Ravina, Amar li Rabin bar Kisi. Hagadiktani Rami bar Yecheskel, Einini Korsi Vani Behoif, Lo Amaran Bimelikom, Au Beshchita Yesh Yikor. Amar Rabbi Yirmi Amar Shmuel, Kol HaKosher Beshchita Kenegdo Be'oiref, Kosher Bimeliko, HaPasul, Pasul, Ahipligo. Ravina said, Ravin bar Kisi said to me, with regard to that which Rami bar Yecheskel teaches, meaning that there is no disqualification for ripping simanim in a bird, we say it only with regard to pinching. But with regard to slaughter, there is disqualification for ripping simanim. The Gemara objects, but doesn't Rabbi Yirmiyah say that Shmuel says any place that is valid for slaughter on the throat is correspondingly valid for pinching on the nape, but that which is not valid for slaughter is not valid for pinching. The Gemara explains the halacha disagrees with this statement of Shmuel. Amar Zeiri nishbara mafrekes lerov basarima nevelo. Zeiri says if the neck bone of an animal or a bird was broken and most of the surrounding flesh was cut with it, the status of the animal or the bird is that of an unslaughtered carcass. It is dead and can no longer be rendered fit by slaughter. Amar Rav Chizda afana nami tanino malak ravisakin mitame migoyam abe sabliyam Yamre treifa havio mevnikosa zohi shchitasa. Tihani lasaki netaramini nevelo. Rav Chizda said that we learn this in the Mishnah in Zvachim 68a as well. If one pinched a bird offering with a knife and not with his thumbnail, the bird renders the garments, and the one who swallows it impure when it is in the throat, which is the halacha in the case of an unslaughtered carcass of a kosher bird. And if you would say that if the neck bone of an animal or a bird was broken and most of the surrounding flesh was cut with it, the bird is not an unslaughtered carcass, but it is a treifa. Then, since with regard to a bird offering, its pinching is slaughter, let pinching with a knife be effective to purify the bird from the impurity of an unslaughtered carcass. as a treifa does not transmit impurity when slaughtered properly. From the halacha that pinching with a knife does not render the bird pure, it is evident that when its neck bone is broken, the bird is rendered an unslaughtered carcass. Amri also mishum delav shchiti klal, my timer Rav Huna amar, mipnei shu machlid, Rav Amar mipnei shehu doires. The sages say in response, their pinching with a knife is ineffective in rendering it pure, not because the breaking of an egg bone renders the bird of an unslaughtered carcass. Rather, it is because it is not a slaughter at all. The Gemara asks, what is the reason? Rav Huna says, it is because it conceals the knife and performs an inverted slaughter, which invalidates the slaughter. Rava says, because he presses the knife. Man yom b'pnei shehu machlid. My time iloma b'pnei shehu doires. Kasav moed b'pnei kalazu. Man yom b'pnei shehu doires. My time iloma b'pnei shehu machlid. Amar la chalodo echido mi kechaludendo mi koibot nimkaz yuhachal migalia. Achal migalia. The Gemara asks, with regard to the one who says because he conceals the knife and performs an inverted slaughter, what is the reason that he does not say because he presses the knife? The Gemara answers, it is because he holds that drawing back and forth is pinching. In pinching is invalid. The Gemara asks, and the one who says because he presses the knife, what is the reason that he does not say because he conceals the knife? The Gemara answers that he could have said to you, what are the circumstances of concealing a knife? It is like a rat, that resides in the foundations of houses that are concealed. Here, when he begins cutting from the nape of the neck, the knife is exposed. Amarava ikashili hakashili v'chimei. Rava said, if that which the Iri said, if the neck bone of an animal or a bird was broken and most of the surrounding flesh was cut with it, the status of the animal of the bird is that of an unslaughtered carcass, it is difficult for me. This is difficult for me. How does pinching a burnt offering prepare it for a sacrifice? Since pinching involves breaking the neck bone and cutting most of the surrounding flesh with it before cutting the simanim, what significance is there to pinching the simanim? And does he stand and pinch a dead bird? If it is dead, of what use is the pinching? Amalei Abaye v'tikshilach oiles oiv dibayashnein simanim chimei zoim min moilek. Amalei asum gnei l'gayim ba mitzvahs avdala. Abaye said to him, and even without the statement of Zeiri, let the case of a bird burnt offering be difficult for you, as it requires cutting of two simanim. Since slaughter of a non-sacred bird requires the cutting of one siman. Once one siman is cut, the bird is considered dead for all intents and purposes. And does he stand and pinch a dead bird? Rava said to him, there he continues pinching in order to fulfill through it the mitzvah of separation between the head and the body in the burnt offering. Iachi, oh nami, kol maki v'shchita. Maki v'avdolim. Kol shemi maki v'shchita and maki v'avdolim. The Gemara asks, if so, there should be an obligation to cut the skin of the bird as well in order to fulfill the mitzvah of separation. Abaye answers, any element that invalidates slaughter invalidates separation. And any element that does not invalidate slaughter does not invalidate separation. Failure to cut the skin does not invalidate the slaughter. The Gemara objects, but isn't there the minority of the simanim according to the rabbis who do not invalidate slaughter, as if one slaughtered a majority of the simanim and the majority remained uncaused, the slaughter is valid, and they hold that they invalidate separation. The Gemara clarifies, rather saying, any element that is in effect with regard to slaughter is in effect with regard to separation. And any element that is not in effect with regard to slaughter is not in effect with regard to separation. The two simanim although they do not invalidate slaughter, are part of the mitzvah of slaughter, while the skin is not part of the mitzvah of slaughter.